second AGM for the Moose Jaw Gamers charity. Thank you everyone for coming. It's been an interesting year to say the least, and I know we're going to see more comments on that coming up. But for now, I'm calling our meeting to order, and we have established quorum. We have well over 50% of our Class A members. So for the couple of Class B members that are here, always happy to have you. Thank you very much for coming out. Your participation is always very much appreciated. Moving right along, I will get a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second it.
Roberta and Christian, thank you very much. And I need somebody to approve the minutes from the last AGM. So that's from the actual last AGM, not just from the last meeting. So who among you actually took a look at it in the last couple of days?
Oh, in the last couple of days?
Oh, look at that. So Kurt, do you want to make the motion?
Well, I'm still, I would motion to approve last year's agenda.
I'll slow down.
I'll second it.
Was that Justin I heard?
Christian.
Christian, perfect. And while Kurt catches up, we can jump right into the president's report from our very own Jess Halsworth.
Okay. So I hope my voice doesn't give out on me as I'm going here. Let's give me a second. I'm looking at the camera as I'm doing this. Okay. So the last year has been pretty difficult in many ways. Everyone's lives have intrinsically changed since last March, when the entire world went into a quarantine lockdown. Through the months, we saw the best and worst in people. But one thing that I knew even before the pandemic, was yet again proven. Even in adversity, gamers will persevere. A pastime that traditionally requires in-person contact and large social settings made a gigantic change in how it innately functions in order to continue to thrive. The switch from face-to-face to a fully digital was already in the works, but hadn't really been adopted simply because humans are social creatures, and we really tend to be, we need to have that in-person social time, some more than others. But within weeks, digital resources were strained to keep up with the changed demand. Thousands of campaigns continued over virtual meeting rooms and other online venues. Traditional mega conventions made the switch to fully online forums. Many companies and industries can learn from we, as a whole, did. One of our own took the things he saw happening in the gaming world and applied it to his own business model. His practice has been recognized as a pioneer in adopting digitization and virtualization. Gamers are not unfamiliar with adversity. Many of us experience it in our everyday lives, merely for celebrating the things that we love. Cosplay, board games, the thrill of defeating an enemy boss, a finely executed hand of cards, pulling off a masterful move in your favorite video game. We also see adversity in our personal lives, loss of job, income difficulties, prejudice, hatred, and loss of loved ones. Through it all, we persevere. We fall back to something we know will, just for a moment, take our mind off the troubles in life. It's the moment we can take a breath, relax, and regroup. We're all heartbroken that we had to announce the cancellation of Summer GAX 2020. We had hoped we could have some kind of event in early 2021, but that is not to be. The Moose Jaw gamers are closely watching the situation, and once we have once the government has relaxed the gathering rules, and we, as a group, feel it's safe to do so, we plan on having the best GAX ever. Until then, stay safe, wear a mask, practice social distancing, use digital resources. When you can, get vaccinated. Most importantly, remember what makes us gamers. Vires inter res asperis, strength in adversity. Thank you.
Bravo. Thank you very much for those words, Jess. I think we all can absolutely agree with the message that you provided. And I know on my end, yeah, I absolutely did take the lessons that I learned being a gamer and applied them in my work sphere. And so it like this community is fantastic for being able to come together and share knowledge, share skills, and share a fantastic pastime, regardless of which type of gaming it is. So I always find it very inspiring. And so, with that said, we'll jump right over to Christian for his communications report.
All right. Well, thank you. And I'll go just start here. Dear members, we have had an interesting year with the global pandemic shutting any gatherings down, but we have done fairly well on social media, all things considered. Our social media has been slower than last year due to not having any of our own content, really. We've posted many videos, pictures, and other links to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and our website. Just as an example, we've posted over 63 times to Facebook, which is down from 199 of the previous year. With those 63, though, we've reached at least 56,638 times. Now that means it's been shown on someone's screen when they're scrolling by Facebook. That is down from, of course, the previous year from 120,000. But not bad, all things considered, considering we're down almost 75% of posts, but we're only down about 60% with the reach of our posts. It's resulting in over 3,000 clicks on that ad or on that posting or comments, which is, again, it's down, but we're at 2,952 clicks. We're down from 8,127 from previous year. The total page likes went from 592 at the end of last year's GAX to 628 this year, which is good. We've got some more likes still. We actually have, over the course of the year, we've actually had 60 new likes on the page and 25 unlikes. So whatever that is, if people are coming and going. So we've actually added 60 unique likes to our page, contrary to it only going up 30 some in our total likes. We have spent very little money boosting any posts this year. We found that in the past, and this is just kind of my notes from last year, that the short-term boosts work best. Moving forward into 2021, we hope to grow larger and have to schedule media due to overwhelming demand for interviews and interest for the community. Our toughest challenge is reaching out to our target demographic of recluse nerds and geeks, many of whom have cut social media ties. We will stream forward with social media posts, radio and TV promotions, and website updates in hopes that anyone who knows anything and is watching can relay the exciting events that we are doing. So as we move forward, hopefully we will have some of those to report on. But that's all I have for our communications report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christian. And while we definitely have seen our most exciting event take a turn for the unfortunate in that we weren't able to host GATS, it isn't that we haven't been active. And I know that many of us have been very active with D&D, with online gaming, with using different types of platforms to be able to board game together. So I know that we don't have a lot of shareable content that we're able to really push on social media, but I know that people are still very much active within our community, and that is shown through the increased number of likes, and that very much gives me hope for the continued success of our organization. A little bit more on continued success. I took a sneak peek at Ryan Erickson's sponsorship report, and I'll turn it over to him for a few comments.
Hey everybody. The let's just get right in here. So in February 2020, we had a pretty amazing winter GAX. We had our best turnout to date. We had our highest number of amazing sponsors and partners. We had 20 of them going for the winter GAX. We also had lots of new games that made an appearance for the first time, such as Warhammer and Flames of War. We have unfortunately not been able to have a GAX since February 2020 due to the COVID-19 restrictions. We had a great number of sponsors and partners who had already sponsored the 2020 summer GAX before the restrictions and cancellations took place. These sponsors have all been reached out to, as well as the ones that weren't already a sponsor. We've reached out to all our sponsors that we had. Out of that, we still have 8 sponsors that have continued to put forward their sponsorship for whenever we are able to have a next GAX and run it safely. Once we know when that'll be, the rest of the sponsors and partners will be reached out to. Had good conversations with them, and they're all still interested. It's just we all understand what is happening. So we would like to thank you all for your sponsorships and partnerships, for your love, support, and commitment to our event and to our end goal of giving to children's charities. Thank you, guys.
Here, here.
Hear, hear. Yes, thank you, Ryan, for the report, and thank you to our sponsors. We couldn't do what we do without you, so you are very much a key player in all of this as well, and we want you to know that you are appreciated. Now, still on the topic of money, I'm going to pass it over to Roberta Hebron for our treasurer's report.
Thanks, Alan. Hello to all the members that are here and anyone who might be watching this as a recording later. First, I have to thank everyone for continuing to support the Moose Jaw Gamers through the years that 2020 and 2021 have been and will be. The Moose Jaw Gamers have not been able to run revenue generating events since February 2020, but we've still shown our commitment to supporting our community causes by a $500 donation to Creative Kids. Our group of volunteers have also invested their time to switch to online events whenever they could. We conducted a review of our expenses for 2020 to reduce them to the bare minimum. Any expense required to run an in-person event was eliminated if possible. As Christian mentioned, we also didn't boost any posts this year, just because we had nothing that was going to be revenue generating. We have our resources at hand to run in-person events again as soon as it is safe to do so, and we look forward to gaming with you again soon. Just for the numbers, the balance as of December 31st, 2019 was $4,9,100.48. Our 2020 income, which includes our winter GAX 2020 deposits, which as Ryan mentioned was our most successful GAX to date, was $4,765.27. Our 2020 expenses includes our winter GAX 2020 expenses plus our donation to Creative Kids this year was $5,791.29, leaving us with a balance of $3,465.46. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roberta. You had talked about resources, and it brings me back to our resourcefulness as gamers. I get to take a look at various businesses' finances just as part of what I do for work, and the amount of money that certain businesses spend on the same types of software that we use as gamers, but they're spending outrageous amounts of money for it. And here we are barely spending a penny, and we're able to continue with all of the fun activities that we like to enjoy, just not in person. And so, I like to pat ourselves on the back for how resourceful we are and how we can continue doing what we're doing without having to break the budget and without having to sacrifice the money that we want to be directing to children's charities. From there, let's pass it over to Kurt for our D&D report.
Well, as of February 22nd, shortly after the last GAX, our RPG committee was dissolved and the responsibilities were brought back into the board. And the board continued to move forward with our assistance of the Moose Jaw Public Library and their D&D at the Library program. And we've always worked to promote D&D within the community. With our support, the popularity of the D&D at the Library program has continued to increase. We've reached and then surpassed our maximum capacity for players, and we started looking at options and opportunities to meet those growing program needs. Unfortunately, as it's been touched on before already in this, provincial restrictions have decimated our in-person gaming sessions. And in March, the decision was made to start digital gatherings rather than in person. We used Discord, Roll20, and a few other platforms to host these digital sessions, and it was amazingly successful. Our local players started being joined by players from other provinces as well as other countries, and very shortly we were again not just meeting but exceeding our maximum number of players. Quite often we had wait lists forming. The continued success of these consecutive D&D programs did have its own setbacks though. Despite our efforts, we've been unable to really recruit additional DMs to staff our events, and this has caused a very high level of fatigue in our existing members, and has meant that we've been unable to continue support on those digital platforms since June it was. I'm happy to say though that our support of the D&D at the Library program has helped show the incredible potential that this game has for bringing people together. And with that information, the Moose Jaw Public Library has been able to provide staff and other resources to continue that program in our absence. This year, the board has also looked at starting other D&D programs such as a video program. And as a group, we've worked to tackle hardware requirements, video editing, and platform constraints. Before the restrictions on in-person gatherings happened, we had developed a pilot. And as soon as private gatherings are again safe and allowed, this program is going to move forward. We'll be able to show everybody what real nerds can do, right there, Christian?
Absolutely.
I want to thank all of our volunteers that have participated in this program and put time and effort. I want to thank all of our players who have played with us for helping us forge epic adventures. And I've looked forward to seeing you all again at the tables together soon. That's it.
Fantastic, Kurt. Thank you for that. Now, Kurt, I'm showing that I'm woefully underprepared because I see that I'm set next to speak on the executive's report and with regards to staffing changes.
You can blame Jess.
Oh, I did look at the minutes, and I must have missed the nomination section. I thought that's what this was supposed to be, so it's sort of a double up.
Oh, okay.
This was something that we didn't do in the last AGM, and when I asked Jess, he said, "Just leave it to Talon." So I'll strike it, and we'll hang tight because the nomination section is coming up very shortly.
Yeah, and so at the very least, I can comment that we haven't had any particular organizational staffing changes. For any particular viewers that might not be aware, we don't have any full-time staff or anything like that. We are very much a volunteer-based organization. So every dollar that comes into the organization, we're spending it on making sure that we can host fantastic events and provide to children's charities. Now, I didn't receive any requests for bylaw changes or any resolutions or motions, so we're going to skip right along to the exciting part, which is board nominations and elections. Now, what we will typically do is call on somebody who's neither a board nominee or seeking a nomination to host or chair that section. So if there's anybody that's here today that wants to volunteer and give it a try, you don't have to be too worried about it. It's not a very complicated process. So do I have any volunteers? And I can definitely walk you through it if you want.
Justin.
Andrew.
Hi, I've been gone for a while, but I can help if that's something I'm allowed to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Like, I'm curious what all goes into it, like, because I could be interested too. I'm just, yeah.
Interested in being on the board or interested in chairing the nomination?
Being on the board and stuff.
Oh, yeah. So in terms of the different positions, we've got our president, currently Jess. I'm the vice president. We've got Roberta, who's our treasurer. Kurt is our secretary. Communications is Christian. And sponsorship is Erickson. So president, the buck stops with him. He's the one that makes sure that all the troops are inspired and engaged. He's the one that makes sure that we hold ourselves together. If there's any internal disputes, he helps to resolve them. And he also helps to hold me accountable as the vice president.
Keep
And
the
then
train on the
vice-
tracks.
Yeah.
Now, my understanding as well would be that in order to move into an executive position, you would first have to be a Class A member. Do we not have to move them into the Class A's to move into the executive positions?
Yes, that is correct.
And if you could explain what a Class A member is, I guess, opposed to, and how long they need to be a Class A member.
Yeah, so there are two classes of membership, and we're a nonprofit charity. So we're actually incorporated that way. So we've got a whole bunch of rules and regulations to follow. So we've got two classes of membership, and you can almost think of it like two classes of shareholders. But because we're a nonprofit, we have members instead of shareholders. So the Class A shareholders, those are the ones that get to vote on the most important aspects of the organization. So if we were voting on holding an audit, or if we were voting to disband the organization, those really big ones, then the Class A members are able to do that. And the Class B members, they have certain capacities to do different things. One of the big ones is that they can come to the meetings and they can vote on some of those less important, less organizationally critical things. So if we're striking a new committee and a Class B member wants to be on the committee, they're able to get into that. And then from within the committee, they can vote on what the committee is doing. So those are the types of things that Class A and Class B members can do. And then the executive, because they're the ones responsible for keeping the business running, and frankly, if the organization ever got sued, for whatever reason, we were hosting GACs and somebody fell down the stairs, then the then the executive could be at risk if there was some type of gross negligence, something like that. So we don't want to put Class B members at risk for anything like that, which is one of the reasons that you have to be a Class A member to be on the executive.
Okay.
Yeah. And so are you interested in learning about the different positions and what each of them does?
Yeah, that'd be fairly interesting. I don't think I'd want to like jump into being the president or vice president anytime soon. That seems like a pretty big jump to go into, but
yeah, but it's always interesting to see where you could end up at the end of the day. And so I mentioned president. Then when it comes to our vice president, I am also the one that basically keeps Jess organized, keeps him on the rails. If anybody took issue with something that Jess was doing, then they could come to me. I chair the meetings, so I make sure that once the meeting gets started, that we follow along with the agenda in an orderly process. If there's any fights internally, and if Jess is part of one of those internal disputes, then I'll help to resolve it. So I'm basically the backup Jess. In addition to that, I sort of help out with all of the legal aspects, but I frankly see that as separate and apart from the VP position. I would be doing that regardless of whether or not I was still on the executive, and I'd be doing that regardless of whether I was the VP or not. Then we've got the treasurer. Treasurer looks after the money. If money is unaccounted for, then the treasurer can get in big trouble. If we overspend, the treasurer can get in trouble. And if we have a whole bunch of money, then she has a fair bit of influence on where that money gets spent and what those financial priorities should be. She knows how much the insurance costs. She knows how much the bank fees are. So having all of that understanding, we oftentimes rely upon her sage advice when it comes to financial affairs.
In addition, it's not technically usually a treasurer position, but I also do a lot of data reporting on our sales and profitability as well.
Yeah, so at the end of different events and GAXs, she's giving us sort of a profit loss breakdown. Then we have the secretary position. The secretary is the one, you see Kurt waving there. He's the one that makes sure that we have an agenda for the meeting, that everybody knows about the meeting, and he's the one that takes minutes for the meeting. So frankly, for just as much as Jess needs to keep everyone on the rails, I find that in most organizations, the secretary is actually the one that ensures that we manage to stay organized and show up to meetings and have meetings, and everybody knows what they need to do between meetings because of the work that our secretary is putting in. He's also the one that organizes all the documentation. So as we do have a whole bunch of different reports, we've got treasurer's reports, we've got financial reports, we've got stuff coming in from the insurance company every once in a while, and Kurt is the one that's putting that all into our Google Drive account, making sure that it's properly organized. Any additions that you want to add there, Kurt?
No, I didn't realize I was supposed to do all that. I just did it.
You are duty bound to do it as the secretary.
You said duty.
And then we've got Christian, who's in our communications role. He's the one that manages all of our social media. He's our liaison to any sort of newspaper, radio, any other type of media. He's out there to make sure that our message spreads, to make sure that people are aware of our organization and the good that we do, and to let people know about our big events with GAX, to let people know about the Discord channel and the more frequent D&D sessions. And then he's also in consultation mainly with Roberta. He's pitching to say like, oh, we should boost this post, we should spend money on this type of advertising, because that's where we're going to get the best reach for our dollar. And Christian, in addition to simply being the liaison, he's also the one drafting the communications. So he's the one that's writing and publishing the posts. He's the one that's writing articles. He's the voice you hear for the most part when we're on the radio. And so we trust him to be able to provide that charisma that only a man with Khajiit ears can provide. Any addition there, Christian?
No, that's pretty good as well. Like Erickson and I work close in hand with sponsorship and making sure our sponsors are represented in all of our social media and at our events. And that kind of ties in like the whole board. I mean, we all work well together. Everyone's communicating with everyone. And like I said, You said it well. Treasurer, secretary, vice president, we're all communicating with each other and making sure that we have a unified message moving out.
And then our last one is our sponsorship exec. And so right now Erickson holds that position, and he's the one that's going out and pounding the pavement to find people that are willing to spend money on our crazy endeavors. I mean, I describe them as crazy endeavors, but he's got a pretty solid pitch because we're a pretty awesome organization. We're out there doing good as gamers, donating to children's charities. And so he's the one that's going into different businesses, sometimes just walking through the front door and saying, hey, this is what the Moose-Jaw Gamers charity is all about. Do you want to help us? And so he puts in a lot of steps to actually do that. In addition, he's getting in touch with large organizations like SaskTel to
Mosaic.
their assistance.
Yeah, like some of the other ones, Mosaic, the Casino Regina, Casino Moose Jaw. What are some of the other ones?
MooseNet, Jake's. Come on,
Yeah.
Erickson, where's your list?
Yeah, reached out to Sask Energy. We got Dragon's Den Games. We can't forget about them. We had the Matrix come in with their stuff, comic readers for board game stuff. I mean, Jake's has always been around, and that's where we're going from here on. But I think maybe, but yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, and so he's the one that keeps our sponsors engaged, keeps them happy, and makes sure that we're able to fund the good work that we do. And so those are the executive positions.
So is there like the possibility to like try out helping out, kind of like doing some of that, but not, because like the one I'm interested in most would probably be secretary, but I also don't have a lot of experience being a secretary. And if I would like to kind of like, maybe, is there a possibility of doing something like a trial run and having like kind of Kurt being over my shoulder, like, yeah, you're doing that right. No, you need to focus a little bit more on this, or giving hints and tips and all that.
Mentorship.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's totally possible. Like, I don't mind having somebody sit with me during a meeting, or going through the meeting notes. Like, the meeting notes is one of the biggest thing. Everything else I do is basically based off of just reminding people to get things done that they've said they'd do in the meetings.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I didn't have any previous experience doing this either. So it's not hard. And if you're able to follow through and just kind of follow things up without feeling embarrassed by poking people occasionally, it's not hard.
Yeah.
I think Kurt would definitely like some help in some of the things that he's doing. I know he's got a few projects that he wanted to do, but just hasn't had time to do, like organizing some of the drive and stuff like that.
Oh, I just set it on fire.
Well, and I think we need to get, if that is the case and you're interested in that, we would need to get you into a Class B membership first.
I think he is.
I don't think
I'm
Matt
pretty
is.
sure I am in a Class B, am I not?
And that's a Class B, I believe.
Is he? Oh, okay. I just didn't see him on the list, so.
I may have been MIA for a bit with my training and whatnot for the forces, but I remember being a Class B.
One point you had said you had stepped away from it because you were headed away to training.
Yeah.
I don't see you in the list, but it's easy enough to add you at this point. You're in the right venue. You're in the right moment of time. So
if you can stick around after the meeting or get in touch with me, I'll get your details.
All right.
Basically, we just get contact information for our Class Bs and we add it to the list, and that's all it takes to get to be a Class B, and then you just show up and participate, right?
that's the most important part.
Do we have a minimum length of time that someone has to be a Class A before they take on an executive position?
I think we did at one point, but Talon, I believe you removed that from when we were doing their original articles, because we wanted to have the ability to take someone who was a Class B and bump them up directly into an executive position if need be. But it still is something that has to be voted by, I believe it's 75%.
Yeah, so there's no time restriction, but there has to be a near unanimous feeling among the board members or among the Class A and exec that you're the right fit. Now, out of an abundance of caution, because I think we had Nat, but just in case not, I'm going to make a motion that we add Nat as a Class B member.
I will second that.
And any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I see none. So congratulations, Nat. You are either for the first time or at the very least back to being a Class B member.
Woohoo!
And for everybody else on the call, if you're interested, absolutely do feel free to approach the exec if you're interested in getting involved in that side of things. I've seen lots of organizations that don't have any good succession planning, and there's no transference of knowledge or skills. So once somebody leaves a position, whether it's due to disinterest or they get hit by a bus or whatever the case is, then there's that knowledge gap, and it takes a long time for somebody to go and fill it in. So if you're interested, it's always good to have two people that have the same skill set, and that way they can be interchangeable if somebody gets sick, if somebody's on holidays, whatever the case might be. So don't feel like because you're approaching, you're going to cause us to fear that you're going to usurp the position or anything like that. It's just good organizational management to make sure that multiple people have the same skills.
And that being said, I also am open to mentoring someone in the treasurer position, and usurp away if you want it. Come and get it.
The nice thing about the treasurer position is that it's not as open as it would be for vice president, president, or any of the other ones. It's a very cut and dried. This is what you have to do. This is when you do it. This is the information you have to have. These are the people that you have to send it to. And once you've got that down pat, then it's just a matter of understanding like how to budget and how to do it correctly, things like that. And I know, Roberta, you'd be a wonderful teacher at that. You'd only lay the whip once in a while, so.
Just as clarification, I'm just looking under bylaws 5.2. Class B members shall only be elected as directors upon the unanimous vote of all directors of the corporation, either in person or in writing.
Okay, so it is a unanimous. I knew it was more than just a quorum, so.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. So with that description of the different positions, let's jump right into things. Now, Bryn? I think it was Bryn's voice I heard at some point. Would you like to, or I'll take you up on your offer to chair our board nominations and elections.
Oh, nice. So what do I have to do?
So we'll be going in order first for the sponsorship. So you'll ask, can I get nominations for the sponsorship exec? And you'll ask it 3 times. And then if we only have one person who's been nominated, then they get acclaimed. And if there's more than one person who's been nominated, then we put it to a vote.
The first position is sponsorship.
Okay, cool. So are there any nominations for sponsorship?
I nominate Ryan Erickson.
I accept.
Are there any other nominations for sponsorship?
I think.
And then you ask one more time.
For the 3rd time, are there any more nominations for sponsorship? Can I nominate a really cool sword?
We
Is-
don't have
is-
it anywhere in the bylaws that says that inanimate objects cannot be on the exec. However, that really cool sword is not a Class A member, so
And it does need to be able to accept the nomination.
Fair enough.
Insert joke about Kurt being an inanimate object.
and so now
So,
Yeah.
if I made a really cool robot sword,
And it became a Class B and then a Class A member, then yes.
cool. Okay, I'll get back on topic now. I'm sorry.
So now, because nobody else was acclaimed, you would say, congratulations, Ryan, you are here, or nobody else was nominated. So you say, congratulations, Ryan, you are hereby acclaimed to the position.
Congratulations, Ryan. You're hereby. That's a big word. I'm sorry. You have the position.
Congratulations.
And next up, Bryn, we've got the communications director.
Are there any nominations for the communications director?
I nominate Christian Schoberg.
I accept the nomination.
Are there any other nominations for the communication director? Any other ones? I don't hear anything, so it sounds like Christian is nominated for the communication director.
Congratulations, Christian.
Next up, Bryn, we have the secretary.
I nominate Kurt. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Bryn.
That's
You.
all right. Any nominations for secretary?
I nominate Kurt Hebron for secretary.
I accept the nomination.
Are there any other nominations for secretary? Are there any other ones? Okay, sounds like Kurt has been nominated for secretary.
Congrats, Kurt.
Treasurer is next.
Are there any nominations for treasurer?
I would like to nominate Roberta Hebron.
She's thinking about it.
I accept. Kurt was just spelling nominated wrong. I accept the nomination.
Yeah, big words are hard. Are there any other nominations for treasurer? That's wait, no, that's not what we're on that, right? Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
We are currently on treasurer. Yeah.
Are there any other nominations for treasurer? Well, sounds like Roberta is now the treasurer.
Congratulations, Berta.
I was just looking for my hand clap emoji. And next up, Bryn, we've got vice president.
Are there any nominations for vice president?
I nominate Talon Regent.
You had me sweating there for a second, Jess. I accept the nomination.
Are there any other nominations for vice president? Is there any final nominations for vice president? Sounds like Talon is the vice president.
Congratulations, Talon.
And finally, we have the president.
Are there any nominations for president?
I will nominate Jess Halsworth.
I accept.
Are there any other nominations for president?
I would like to nominate Erickson.
I say no, thank you.
Oh, Actually, that does bring up a good point for next year. We should be doing it in the other order so that if somebody does want to take the president position and they lose, then they can try for vice president and then so on and so forth. So something to keep in mind for our next AGM.
I will adjust that.
But it's too late now.
I think there's 2 more calls for nominations still, Bryn.
Oh, 2 more after that?
Or 1 more, sorry. Just one more
Okay.
call.
Okay. Any more nominations for president?
Spell is cast.
Well, Jess is now the president.
Speech! Speech!
4 more years.
Talon, did you say speech or impeach?
Speech.
Well, at least he asked for more general votes, not just votes for him.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for continuing to take on these roles. It's a lot of work, and for as much as we've been patting each other on the back so far this meeting and thanking sponsors and whatnot, as I was describing the different roles, it's clear how much work each of us puts into this, and everybody on this Zoom call right now, I know that we all appreciate the contributions, because the amount of work gets piled onto the fewer number of people that we have available. So the more people we have helping out, the lighter the load for each individual. And so every single one of you is very much appreciated with the help that you provide.
And thank you for running our nominations, Britt.
No problem.
And so then we've got a call for membership from the public. We jumped ahead when we got Nat back officially on the rolls. But are there any other calls for membership from the public?
I know I was gone for a while. I kind of fell into a hole with school and stuff. Am I still a Class B member?
Yes, you are. We just need some information, like a phone number and address. And if you want to send that to Kurt or Berta, then they can add that to the roll. Otherwise, we have you still on the list.
Okay, for sure.
So for those
I
who
do not get WhatsApp notifications, so I missed everything that happened in the chat until Matt told me there was a meeting.
Yeah. So for those who are unaware, what we have, I'm just reading the list you have here at the beginning, Kurt. For existing Class A members, other than the executive that are present, Eric LaFrance is a Class A member. And then our list of Class B members at current would be Andrew Diabald, Justin Odinsky, Alicia Hallowick, Bryn Clothier, Sean Hellquist, Janice Lamb, Lance Harker, Brooks Nancaro, and Brady Sathoff.
Sathoff, yep.
So those are our Class B members, and
Did you include Andrew? Is Andrew in that list? I didn't hear his name.
yeah, he was
okay.
at the top. Yeah.
Okay.
If I missed anyone, or if anyone, I guess, wanted to become Class A members, then that's something we have to have a discussion.
I know that 2 people that have been extremely popular and very, very helpful, and we would be at loss without them, haven't been. They aren't on that list, and we've offered it to them multiple times. I think at this point in time, we're going to offer it to them again, and if they want to, they're more than welcome to. If not, they can decline. Jake and Kevin, you guys have been instrumental in our board games, in a lot of other stuff, and we'd really like to see you as at least a Class B member in our organization. I leave it up to you if you want to do that, but the offer is there and it is open.
What do you guys think? I see Kevin in the background too with your mascot.
And Ulfer and Kevin.
Yes. Get on the trolley.
There we go. Hi. All right. Okay. So some of you, most of you, maybe some of you have heard or not heard, I have been through a process of changing my name. so Jake's Curiosities no longer exists, and Jacob Hart no longer exists because I finally got approval.
Congratulations, Ulfer.
And we're still not sure about taking a position because we've always taken a yes, we're always here to help you guys and whatever you guys need. And we love running the board game area and having our little shop because you guys allow us to do a lot of things. I'm just not sure. What do you think? Oh, what do you think, Bobby?
There's no
I don't
pressure. You guys
know.
don't have to decide right now. The offer is open.
I don't
Alright.
know that it adds a whole lot except for like legitimizing.
I would like what is it, rights? No. Exclusive access for the board game lounge all the time. Until we decide not to. Until we decide not to, but I think we would because we like you guys. So I don't know if there's like a little nook of position where anything and everything involving the game board area goes through us.
And I think that is an option. That if you were to move into a Class B membership and then have because I think we can have up to 15 executive positions. Is that where I read that correctly somewhere in our bylaws, Talon? Another executive position that could be added into would be board game director. And as such, you could put forward that your business, and then we would vote on it, of course, that your business would be the sole provider for board games for X events, be it GAX or Fun Day Sundays or all of the above.
As another option, if you don't want to go the whole hog in there, and if you want to just keep a Class B membership, we could create a committee that you guys chair that manages everything board game.
Yep,
That sounds too much like work, but
it's the same as you've been doing.
It's the same as you've been doing. It's just legitimized within the bylaws of the nonprofit.
If it is possible, we would take a position for board game director. If it is possible.
Yeah. So what I would propose then is first we make the motion to make you a Class B member, and then once you've accepted that, we make the motion to establish the board games committee and appoint you as chair of the board games committee, and then you would be then you would have that authority. And if you decided at any point you needed more assistance with the board game committee, then you could pull from other members to have them on that committee with you.
Okay.
All right. So
I will motion. I will motion that we include Ulfer as our a new Class B member, if that's who you guys want to be the Class B member.
Hang on, do you not need secret deliberations this time?
That was for Class A's.
That's for Class A's.
Okay.
I motion that Ulfer become a Class B member.
Second it.
All right, discussion. And so as Andrew pointed out, with Class A's, we try to be a little bit more delicate. But if we don't want somebody to be a Class B, then we tell it to their face. So any discussion?
I agree with what Jess has said. And just to reiterate, like we've offered it to you before, we'd love it to legitimize your involvement in this organization.
All right, I'm going to call the motion. All in favor? Opposed? Actually, there is no opposed. I think that was unanimous. So congratulations, Ulfer. You're now officially a Class B member. And I will then make the motion that we establish a board gaming committee and appoint Ulfer as the chair.
I so second.
And discussion.
With any committee, I believe we have to have a Class A member on the committee as well. Not as a chair of the committee, of course, but just as the liaison to the board.
Sounds familiar.
Who tabled that? I'm just writing it down. Is that you, Talon?
Talon motioned. I seconded.
And so if any of the Class A members want to jump onto the committee right now, feel free to speak up. Otherwise, that will be your first official task, Ulfer, is to find somebody that wants to be on the committee with you of the Class A's.
I can be on there with you, Jake. Or Ben-Hur, or Ulfer. Sorry.
Yeah, please pardon me if I make a mistake. Just kindly correct me. I will get to the point where I'm calling you by your correct name. It's so ingrained that you've been Jake for so long. So.
All right. I don't think we actually called the motion there. So any further discussion before we vote on the establishing of the committee? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed?
Wait, do I get to vote?
Nope, that was unanimous.
No, because I had this.
All right, congratulations, Ulfer. You now have all power and authority.
Do we want Kevin in there as well, or is Kevin not
Kevin...
wanting to be, and we'll just leave it up to Ulfer?
I think we should make Kevin a Class B member too, because if I'm gonna have to suffer, he's gonna have to suffer with me.
No, and that's fine. We can do that as well.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
I'll make a motion to make Kevin a Class B member.
I apologize. I put both of your names down there for that last one, and I apologize for not separating.
They're individual people. Come on.
We're individual and inseparable.
That's not what the ring says, man.
Yeah. Don't you know we're Kurda? We're technically we're on two cameras, but we're one person.
You.
Whereas I call them Bert and Kurda.
Yeah.
Is there a seconder for the motion to make Kevin Class B member?
I second. Oh, geez, Kevin, geez, you see that? Everyone was fighting to second that one.
We need somebody in here to keep control of Ulfer.
Any other discussion other than the importance of keeping control of Ulfer? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor of making Kevin a Class B member?
Yes, again. I'm a Class B now.
Yeah, he can.
Oh, you can. Ha!
All right, that was unanimous. Thank you.
Hey. I was going to be the dissenting voice.
Sorry. Any opposed? Christian's opposition? Do you want it noted in the minutes, sir?
Sure.
I thought he would abstain or something.
All right, well, despite Christian's protests, welcome aboard, Kevin.
Yeah, but didn't Christian make the motion?
He seconded it.
Oh, okay.
After discussion, I changed my mind.
I know where you live.
Discussion with yourself?
Yes.
All right, so that should be all the calls for membership.
No, I got one more.
Okay, what have we got, Roberta?
I'd like to nominate Justin Odinsky as a Class A member.
He is. Oh, as a Class A. Okay.
Yeah, he's a Class B right now. Bump him up.
Can I get a seconder?
I need a booster.
I'll second it.
Now, just to differentiate so that people know, Class Bs, we do allow you guys to vote at meetings, but if it were to come to a draw, Class B membership does not actually count as a vote. Class A membership is the only votes that count when it comes to meetings and things like that.
Participation votes.
Yeah.
Well, legally, the Class A memberships matter the most, but we've always taken great, I don't even know what the word is, great care in acknowledging the wants and needs of all of our members, regardless of status, because
Absolutely.
all of our members help make our events possible and make everything possible. So if like all of our Class A's voted one way and all of our Class B voted another way, we'd seriously have to take a look. Okay, something's fucky here, and if we don't want to be the only assholes in the boat, then we better figure something out.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't mean any disrespect by that either.
Also, so Kurt gave you the inspiring response. One of the fun legal responses is that if all the Class B members got together and felt like the Class A members were bullying them, then there is what's called an oppression remedy. And then you can take all the Class A members to court and it would be very exciting.
Oh, yeah, very exciting. Sure, says the lawyer.
No, the Class A's have a lawyer on their side.
You exchanged exciting for profitable there, Talon.
Yeah.
You guys may have a lawyer, but I got 420% in my high school law class.
Fuck yeah, we got credit. And a sword.
And a sword, which I'm taping a magic 8-ball to.
All right, so just bringing the conversation back, we've got a motion on the floor to have Justin bumped up to a Class A member. And is there any particular discussion on the motion?
Well, Justin, do you accept the nomination or the?
I do.
Okay.
Is this something that is this a Class A thing supposed to be the private? Isn't that what Christian
Yeah.
just said? Is it-
Right?
Mhm.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, we can have the discussion and vote in private.
Yeah. fair enough.
So, is there a way? Sorry to be rude here, but is there a way, Talon, to make it so the Class B members can't hear what we're actually saying? Or
Yep, I am creating a breakout room, and this is my first time ever creating a breakout room, so if I just start throwing people in, I'm throwing all the Class A members in.
okay, and so when we go to the breakout room, I will pause the recording on the meeting, and then when we come back, I'll restart the recording.
Are you recording using Zoom right now?
No, I'm recording using something else.
Oh, okay. Just because I was like, because you're not recording.
In a room full of nerds, there is always a way.
Fucking men's cap.
Yeah.
All right, I think I've got us all in there.
Everyone.
It was
So,
only
what
like
was-
2 people.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
everyone else went into a separate room. I'm confused on what was happening.
Yeah, that was confusing to me because like
Sorry,
some of us
guys.
went into a breakout group that we joined, and then the rest of them weren't there, and you guys weren't there. So it was like, I guess we're fine.
I just assumed that everybody got it promoted to executive. That's why.
I had implicit instructions. Hit the button. All of this.
Okay, so we had a few people, and I'm asking this now for my own professional value. So we ended up having 3 separate rooms then. The people that didn't join breakout room 1, and then breakout room 1 and breakout room 2. Is that what I'm hearing?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Good to know. All right, and yeah, there were some tech difficulties, but Jess, would you like to provide the news?
Justin, welcome as a Class A member.
Hooray! Fireworks.
So Kurt will be by at some point to brand you and put the tracking device in.
Where is it inserted?
Well, you have a few choices.
Well, we don't give those details during the recorded Zoom meeting.
Oh, okay.
No, yeah, we'll upgrade the roles. I have all your information. I believe we have your current address, phone number. If that changes, just let us know so that we can update that. That is a legal requirement of our nonprofit to have that information.
I'll make sure who needs it, Bert or Kurt.
Either one would be fine. You can even, if you're happy with that, you can put it into the WhatsApp. It's just a matter of updating our one file that we have that information in. And then as we move forward as a Class A, you vote on all of our things. You are entitled to meetings. You can run as executive. Yeah, so you'll also be given a lot of work.
How much work? Like
as much as we can pile on your shoulders without you breaking, which is typically how we work.
You know how things work. You're lower management, so
trickle down. It all trickles down.
Obviously you have input into what you do. You let us know what you're interested in helping out with, and we'll divvy it up. If you any new ideas you have, bring them forth. What have you? Same as you've been doing. So. Okay.
Oh, an unboxing.
No. I have to add stuff to this order. Can you turn your mic off, Jake? It's all right. Thanks.
Okay. Talon, you want to close this up here?
So we don't have any members of the public, I don't believe. Everybody here is a Class A and or Class B member. Sorry, just or. Nobody is both. And so now it's a matter of setting our next AGM meeting. With all of our fingers crossed, vaccines should roll out and we should be allowed to have meetings in person and GAXs again soon, and particularly by February of 2022. So what I'm going to propose is that we leave the date to be decided upon the president's pleasure. And with any luck, that will be during the February GAX in 2022. So from there, it is the president's duty or responsibility or privilege to adjourn the meeting. Would you like to make any final comments before we all go?
I just want to say I am very happy and very pleased with how everybody has stepped up and just dealt with everything that's happened over the past year. You know, we just hit our 1 year lockdown a few days ago. We're starting to see, yeah, thanks, Andrew. We're starting to see a light at the end of the tunnel. And like I said in my address, the first GAX that we have, when it is safe to do so, is going to be one heck of a GAX. It is going to be a big party, and we want to plan for that. We want to be ready for the drop kick. Once that is safe, once we have procedures in place to keep people safe, and we have the okay from the government and our own personal moral values saying it's safe, we are going to plan a huge GAX. We're going to go all out. I'd like to see something where the entire province news goes like, oh my gosh, look what these guys did, and have an amazing attendance again. So all I can do is hope that everything goes smoothly and everyone keeps doing what they've been doing, staying safe, staying healthy. So with that, unless there's any dissension, I will adjourn the meeting.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. It's fantastic that everybody was able to make it. Have yourselves a lovely afternoon. And if our exec can stick around for just a couple of minutes to work on a couple of housekeeping items. Take care, everyone.